5 hours by car from Krasnoyarsk airport to Eniseisk 15, a rocky road drive into the depths of the Siberian wilderness. 300 kilometers from civilization, in a region 4 times the size of France, even the massive Yenisei River is dwarfed by the vast and empty expanses of land. The villages in this region are postcard Siberia as it may seem. Traditional wooden huts called izbas line the roads. Every backyard has a wood pile. The one-roomed cottages are still heated by stoves. Life lived as it was decades ago. The corner of the world sleepy and remote enough to place a giant military secret town. Local woods hide the extraordinary ghost of the Soviet past. So clandestine it was only known by a number. Eniseisk 15 is a former top-secret Soviet radar site, known to the world as the Krasnoyarsk radar. The controversial Eye on the Sky outraged the United States. Thousands of people lived here, working on one of the USSR's most expensive construction projects. Once a symbol of Soviet power and military might, now it's a wasteland of brick and steel, an industrial graveyard frozen in time, and an impromptu stage for an act that tells much about modern Russia. 6 apartment blocks has survived in the middle of the ruined secret town, standing side by side with the abandoned blocks and installations. And life is returning. Eniseisk 15 is gradually being turned into a town for pensioners and invalids, who are given free housing here. Some of the most vulnerable members of Russian society, eking out on existence in tough and often shocking conditions.
Раз, два,
Oleg lives on the 3rd floor of his building. Like other 5 apartment blocks in the town, it doesn't have a lift. At almost 40, Oleg is one of the town's younger invalids.
все, так. Пожалуйста, помоги. Ты журналист, помоги. Батю найти, дядьку найти. И помоги мне со своей жизнью распорядиться, а то я не могу больше. Дыхание у меня здоровье есть, было и всегда оно и было. Вот так вот. Вот так вот.
А мне вот эту на рычагах, она же тяжелая, это как с 3-го этажа таскать и потом поднимать. Как ее? Как? Представляешь, что это даже уму непостижимо. Они говорят: Олег, они над тобой правда издеваются? Я говорю: да, наверное, власть. А то другой раз придут: Олежа, голосуй. Я говорю: за вас, что ли? Нет, никогда.
Oleg is an alcoholic. He lost both feet to frostbite after he fell asleep outside during winter drinking session. It happened in his native village not far from Eniseisk 15. With his disability, he got the right for a free flat from the state. So now he lives in a 1-bedroom flat with his mother Valentina, an apartment they both rarely leave. Valentina recently became blind. More than 70 disabled people live in the town. There are 2 social workers here, but no professional doctors, no pharmacy, no ambulance service, or any medical clinic. Tamara Vasilievna, a social worker in the town, says life for the elderly here is good. The problem starts when the pensioners take their families to live with them.
Ну, я считаю, что для пенсионеров самое нормальное здесь. Тихо, спокойно и нету шума. Только лай собак, да. Даже машин таких, чтобы сильно вот ездили, нету. Ну, вот для молодежи тут у нас работы нету. С другой стороны, вот. Было бы какое-нибудь предприятие или еще что-нибудь сделали бы здесь, народ бы сюда бы еще бы и приехали бы, работали бы. Ведь многие же не работают, баклуши бьют, на безработице стоят и все.
This family has 7 people living in one room due to leaking pipes. 3 generations living on top of one another. Galina's children grew up here, now her grandchildren too will grow up here. The family got a free housing at the center of an abandoned military town as former workers of the radar. Galina says they were not given much of a chance to move to another place. She says faulty plumbing is the least of the town's problems.
Здесь в основном молодежь ездит, значит, по этим везде, по вахтам ездит, кто хочет работать, конечно, это самое, ездят вахтовым методом работают. А остальные вот так вот, пенсионеры, кто где может, кто как перебивается. В принципе, не видим, перспектив никаких не видим хороших.
Galina's husband was one of the workers who dismantled the radar site, a process that took several years. Like many other residents, he's bitter about the town's change in fortune.
Она брала космос, если они оттуда ракеты пускали бы, вот, она берет на себя и возвращает обратно. Америка же хотела космическую войну открыть. Вот и строили это сооружение. Потом закрыли при Горбачеве. Вот это, они боялись очень это сооружение. Они еще, когда это, ну, в смысле, подписали договор о разоружении, они сказали, вот это сооружение разберите. Ну, мы говорим, ну, как, ну, несколько этажей снимем, там может что-нибудь. И только до нуля.
The United States demanded the radar site be closed in the late 80s, saying it violated an international arms treaty. At the height of glasnost, as Gorbachev tried to reach out to the West, he agreed. The only sprawling base shrank to a barely functioning ghost town. Offices, corridors, homes, marked by time and by teenagers' graffiti. Today, there are dozens of abandoned buildings in the town and only 6 inhabited ones. The town is so small, it doesn't even have street names. There's simply no need for them.
Это же надо, а не медицина. Скоро выбора, я чё? Протез надо вдернуть в ногу, на ногу его одеть. И гляньте, какой мой рост.
Oleg was given a crutches and a prosthetic leg, but he rarely uses them. It's an effort for him to fit it on. The whole process takes almost half an hour. The social worker doesn't like to visit the family, and Oleg says he doesn't wait for her, among other reasons also because there is not much she can do. And there is little sympathy among the town's residents for the man they consider young enough but unwilling to work.
Резко нельзя. Олег, выкидывай протез. 2. Резко. Резко. Вот я высокий был, вот таким я был.
Oleg's mother, a pensioner, became blind after they moved to Eniseisk 15, and now she's one of the town's 70 invalids. She has been waiting for an operation on her eyes for the past few months. But like many other residents, they simply don't have the money to make it to the nearest hospital.
Там что-то на зрачке. Тут надо уже, как говорится, в Красноярске или в Москве. А тут нету. Ну, глазной врач есть в Енисейске, но у нас нету этого. Раньше, когда еще я молодая была, еще как-то в Енисейске был глазной врач, все было, это аппаратура, все делали операцию. А потом я не знаю, что там получилось. Вот. Теперь только в Красноярске или в Москве. Вот.
А туда доехать?
Ну, туда ехать надо денег иметь. Ребята, поймите сами. Это же не каждый поедет.
The city of Eniseisk has the same name but without a number and is placed 100 kilometers north from Eniseisk 15. Together with the city of Lesosibirsk, they form an island of civilization in the middle of this part of Siberia. Oleg sees this town once a year, during his annual state medical checkup. He is required to prove he is an invalid every year. As if his legs will grow back, he jokes with visitors. Lesosibirsk, the place many of Eniseisk 15's young people dream of moving to. Here there is the industry, the employment, the excitement they long for. Shopping centers, services, and a bustling town life compared to Eniseisk 15. Lesosibirsk was founded initially as a settlement of the prisoners who behaved well and were let to spend the rest of their term living like free people and working at the main industry, wood lodging and manufacturing. Eniseisk and Lesosibirsk are dominated by the Yenisei River. Frozen in winter and crisscrossed by dozens of makeshift paths, in summer it's a vital shipping lane for the local export, wood. For hundreds of kilometers around Eniseisk and Lesosibirsk is taiga and frozen empty land with small villages like this one, 10 kilometers from Eniseisk 15. Is the villages like that supply most of the new arrivals to Eniseisk 15. Life is hard for old people who live alone here. The environment is harsh, minus 40 during winter, and winter here often lasts almost 9 months. The snow only melting in May. Most homes are old and ill-equipped with modern conveniences. Luba was born several months before the revolution. She lost her parents in the Russian Civil War, fought in the Second World War and outlived 2 husbands. She has survived times of desperate hardship. And now she's spending her old age in conditions that most people, young or old, would balk at. She lives by the banks of the Yenisei River in a one-roomed izba with her grandson. Like many of his age in this village, he is an alcoholic. Luba's daughter, his mother, also drinks. Alcoholism is a creeping problem in Russia, and these remote Siberian villages don't escape its touch.
Обижать он не обижает, не деремся, никогда ничего у нас ругань не бывает, у которых ругань была. А у меня честное слово, я врать не хочу. Ругань никогда у нас не бывает. Ну, вот он придет, я молчу, ложится, все, до утра, ага.
Luba's second husband froze to death after getting drunk. She doesn't drink or smoke at all. The secret of her long life, she says. And also healthy style of life, as she puts it. The nearest shop is a half-hour of walking, a trip she makes several times a week. Sometimes she has no enough money to buy food. The shop owners in the area trust her and lend her some food. They know she will return the money because she doesn't drink and because she always does return money. Leaving her village hut and moving to Eniseisk 15 isn't an option, she says.
Тут и помру в своем домишке, гнилушке. Ей квартиру давали, еще и не могу в своей квартире уходить никак.
Luba is much of an exclusion. Most pensioners here would like to flee from this sort of life. But what is the choice? An isolated location, bleak, harsh terrain. At first glance and even second and third glance, Eniseisk 15 looks like the kind of place people usually try to avoid, especially the elderly, but officials say there's a waiting list of pensioners wanting to move there. The formal head of Eniseisk 15 and the surrounding areas is based in the Shapkino village nearby, and he is one of the most active defenders of the policy to give free housing to pensioners and invalids in the abandoned town.
Люди именно вот стремятся сюда попасть. Почему? Потому что это жилье благоустроенное, где не надо готовить дрова, где не надо топить печки, где туалет находится в квартире.
Tamara is a decorated World War II veteran. She's almost the same age as Luba and also has lived most of her life in one of the local villages. But here the similarity ends. Tamara has 3 daughters working in Lesser Sibirsk quite successfully. But she decided to take the granted flat from the state in Eniseisk 15, as she explains that, so that she wouldn't be a burden on her daughters as her life comes to an end.
Я здесь сама себе хозяйка. И думаю, никого обременять не буду. Плохо перетерплю.
Her husband died 4 years ago. She's lived alone since then. Tamara never complains and says she's lucky enough to have a warm flat.
Здесь лучше. Плохо, что наш поселок как-то оторван. Вот, например, чтобы поехать куда-нибудь в больницу, например, в Енисейск, куда мы прикреплены 100 километров отсюда. Туда попадать очень плохо. И приедешь, не успеешь, если вот там по медицине что-нибудь, по болезни, не успеешь анализы сделать, надо уже возвращаться домой. Скорая помощь, но у них машины есть, но они даст, например, поехать, если пожелаешь, в Енисейск, они не возьмут.
Почему?
Они только больных возят, те, которые лежачие.
For other people, being resettled to Eniseisk 15 was actually a reward for years of work. After almost 2 decades in the Russian mining town of Norilsk, one of the most polluted places in the world, this woman was moved south for her retirement by the state. Even if it gets to -40 in the winter, she says her family welcomed the chance to come here.
А что в Норильске, когда 3 детей, какие там могут быть большие деньги? Тоже поехать, пожили немножко, здоровье, как говорится, угробили, и все, и больше ничего. Но жить здесь летом можно, здесь грибов много, ягод много.
Residents complain about the isolated existence. They say the water is contaminated, the apartments are often in bad repair. It's a lifestyle that may suit the town's pensioners, but for young people it's catastrophic. Many find themselves trapped here. There's little employment in or around Eniseisk 15. No industry, no agriculture. A job in any of the 2 shops in the town is highly sought after. The result? Chronic unemployment, and the town most young people are desperate to escape from.
Молодежь остается очень много у нас в городке, что особо поехать некуда, потому что квартиры везде дорогие, выехать отсюда очень тяжело. Работаем в основном с бабушками, с дедушками, с которыми очень тяжело, конечно, работать, так же, как с социальным работником, потому что с ними очень тяжело общаться. Заселяют у нас сюда вот тех, кому, как говорится, жить негде или жить тяжело-то, вот с деревень переселяют сюда, в городок. Конечно, бы хотелось бы, чтобы у нас тут поменьше было такого контингента.
So, welcome to the hidden world of Eniseisk 15. It says much about how hard life is for many Russians that this ghost town is seen as better than the alternatives. But what must it be like for young families here with no prospect ever of a job in their community and surrounded by elderly people who are simply waiting to die in the ruins of a town? Oleg has never served in the army, but he keeps the military jacket of his neighbor, a retired officer, as a sort of, how he explains that, a reminder, a way to control himself. He avoided the service because he was the only son of the lonely mother. His father died in an accident when Oleg was 3 years old. He spends his time drinking and watching videotapes of cartoons and taped American music shows. Alex says he wants to learn a trade and start earning money. But his tiny apartment is a de facto cage. He is trapped between disability, alcoholism, and absence of any care. Eniseisk 15 has provided him with a home but little else. So when he or his mother are tired of listening foreign music on tape, Alex switches on the old audio player. They listen to Russian traditional songs and think of a better place on earth.